Earlier this week, outside of Fort Lauderdale High School, right here in the state of Florida, a man by the name of Dan Bauman, along with his daughter, who's a sophomore at the high school, began throwing a temper tantrum about children at the school having to wear masks. And the incident ended with Baumann himself being arrested for child abuse. Oh, but don't worry, the child abuse wasn't against his own daughter. It was against somebody else's daughter. Let me tell you the story of what happened. Baumann shows up with his daughter at the school, starts walking towards the school. The resource officer is outside. He recognizes Baumann because apparently the guy has caused a scene multiple times, at least enough for the resource officer to think to himself, oh God, here we go again. So the resource officer at that point turns on his body camera because he knows there's about to be a confrontation. Now, before I go any further, please note that the body cam footage has not yet been released because Fort Lauderdale police say this is an ongoing investigation, therefore we cannot release it yet. So anyway, resource officer turns on his camera, goes up to Baumann. Baumann starts throwing a temper tantrum about masks, and he's filming it with his cell phone. So another young girl, high school student, says, I've had about enough of this for the next 4 years. And she reaches for Mr. Baumann's phone. At that point, according to the report, he grabs her arm, twists it behind her back, and shoves her against a fence. Basically like you would see a police officer do, rough handling somebody that they're about to arrest. And Mr. Baumann did this to a high school student, a female high school student. And so yes, at that point, Mr. Baumann was arrested and charged with child abuse. And again, all of this started because he didn't like the fact that students at this high school had to wear face coverings. His daughter actually went on record. The newspapers talked to her and she said, yeah, I just wish masks were optional. I want to go to school, she says, but I can't breathe with a mask on. Let me reiterate this. Actually, here's a great example right here. See, I was in a hospital for hours earlier this week, having a carpal tunnel surgery here. Had to wear a mask the whole time, did not get to take it off, did not get to lower it, didn't even feel the need to, by the way. I'm also an asthmatic. In case you haven't been following my Twitter feed, I've talked about that plenty of times. So I'm also, at the same time, throughout my stay in the hospital, a couple hours, oxygen monitor hooked up to my finger. That level of oxygen in my body, wearing a mask and having asthma, never dropped below 98%. So I was doing great. I had no problems. And sure, maybe this girl has a medical condition, but she didn't say she had a medical condition. She just says, I can't breathe with a mask on. Okay, we haven't had any incidences of children passing out from lack of oxygen from having to wear a mask. So I would love to know if she, in fact, does have a medical condition that would prevent her from wearing a mask. Because if so, I want to get the story straight here, right? But she never disclosed any of that. She just said, I can't breathe in a mask. No, it sounds like you've been warped by your alleged child-abusing father. And again, alleged, because he has not been convicted. So, it's just alleged. He's charged with it, but not convicted. So we cannot officially call him a child abuser. But the way he responded in this situation is absolutely insane. You're that upset because your daughter has to wear a mask to school? You got that physically violent with another young girl in that high school? That's dangerous. It's dangerous for the students. It's dangerous for your child. Your child has to go back to that school, by the way. How do you think she feels? I know she doesn't like wearing masks, but, put that aside for a second. She's now the daughter of the crazy man. And you don't think everybody in that high school is going to be talking about that? You don't think everybody in that school is going to treat her differently now because of the way you acted? That's not fair to her. I do have sympathy for her. I don't necessarily buy her excuse about wearing a mask, but I do have the utmost of sympathy for her for now having to go through her high school career knowing that her dad made such a hissy fit about wearing a mask that he assaulted one of your fellow classmates. Great parenting there, buddy. Really living up to the moniker of Florida Man.